What's up, everybody? I'm Jacob.
I'm Mac.
Today we're going to be talking about alien abductions, and we're going to bring some cases to your guys' attention. So let's jump into different types of close encounters with aliens, we assume. The first kind is witnessing a UFO or a light or any type of craft, even if it's just a brief second, or it can range anything from a brief second, a glimpse of a UFO, to them following you, however far you travel, it's still there, it's still in the same part of the sky. Or you could be seeing an actual craft following you. And it's usually a telltale sign that there might be a future abduction. That's the first kind.
Oh, geez. The second kind is when you have some sort of effect happening as well as spotting a UFO. So, for instance, if it was chasing you in your car and the radio kept on going on and off, or your phone didn't get any signal while it was around, or perhaps your dog is freaking out, something along those lines would be a close encounter of the second kind.
Where there's something actually...
Yeah, it could be... that was all, like, electronic, but, like, physical evidence, too, like scorched earths, okay. like a landing site.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, like, leaving prints of the exhaust from, chemicals, that kind of stuff.
Right. Like it landed and took off.
Yeah, precisely.
So like trace evidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just some kind of effect besides being seen.
Okay. The third kind is when you see the pilots or the occupants of the craft. There's actually 6 subcategories of a third kind of close encounter. One is witnessing the occupants, the pilots, I guess occupants is the best word, aboard the craft, looking out the window, either at you or you seeing them, doing their job. The second subcategory is seeing who apparently operates the craft in and outside, both in and outside the craft. Now, I would think that it would be a landed craft. You see them out and about, skirmishing around the craft. That would be the second category, subcategory of a third type of close encounter. The third subcategory is seeing an entity near UFO, but not going in and out of it. So, let's say you see a craft in the woods and you've identified, okay, that's a UFO, that's a spaceship. And, either you're trying to run away or you're trying to get closer, and you happen to see an entity, an alien, a gray, a reptilian, whatever type of occupant, but they're not going directly in between the UFO. It's almost like they've already been planted here, and, it's like their ride's coming to pick them up. The fourth subcategory of a third close encounter is seeing an entity on the ground, but not seeing a UFO. So you just see an alien, either a gray, like I said, gray, reptilian, indigo, mantis, whatever type of alien being you see, with no UFOs. That's really crazy.
Is it safe to assume that it's just referencing seeing the occupants, not necessarily the UFO, then?
For the fourth one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're literally just seeing the occupants, but no UFO. You haven't seen one.
It's still the same kind of encounter.
Right, okay. Yeah. There's been no UFO activity reported in the area. You just see an alien. I'm sorry, that was the fifth one. No, that was the fourth one. The fifth one is you see see an entity on the ground, but see no. Oh, I'm sorry. The fourth one is you see an occupant and there is UFO activity in the area. The fifth one is there's no activity.
Okay.
So you just see the alien.
Yeah.
And then the sixth one is no alien or UFOs that you see, but you experience intelligent communication from an unknown source that we assume.
Okay, so like, be specific, can you? Like,
Not like a cloaked ship that you don't see the ship. All the occupants are battened down inside of it, but they're
Okay.
transmitting a message to you telepathically.
okay.
Either telepathically or, it could come across the radio if you're driving in the car. So it correlates with the second kind.
Do you, this is kind of random, but do you know those radio waves that like we've caught from like deep outer space that are like blips? Would you consider that potentially one of those, or is that kind of
I mean, it's
like
if
it
we
truly is from like an alien? Is that still in that category, or is it because it's millions of light years away and everything?
it would still be from an alien. It'd still be from an intelligent being.
Yeah.
That sent that out, a form of communication.
Okay.
So that's them reaching out to you. So that's a sixth subcategory of the close encounter.
Okay. So that was a close encounter of the third kind. The fourth kind is when you are abducted specifically, whether that's just abducted and looked at, or a full-blown medical examination.
Wow.
Where they open you up.
Yeah.
Kind of classic alien abduction.
Measure your nervous system,
Yeah, poke you
your
with shocky
reproductive
tools.
systems. Yeah.
So any kind of abduction
Is the fourth kind?
yeah.
Okay. Willingly also too.
Willingly or unwillingly.
Okay. The fifth kind is after the fourth kind, after you've been abducted, sometimes it just ends right there. Well, the fifth kind, if it progresses, is an experience where someone will receive information or direct communication between themselves and the abductors, whether it's verbal or telepathic, and whether it's initiated by the person or the alien. So any intelligent communication or direct communication after the examination is what evolves it into a fifth kind encounter.
Next is close encounter of the sixth kind, which is specifically the death of a human or animal associated with a UFO. So think mutilated cows.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or, just finding a suspicious dead body with no explanation behind why it's somewhere or how they died.
Yeah.
A lot of people consider this to be an extreme example of a close encounter of the second kind.
Oh, okay.
Which again is
physical trace.
evidence or effects.
Yeah.
Although I would call this one probably the most extreme.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the sixth kind is when they're actually ending a life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then the last one, the seventh kind, is a creation of an alien-human hybrid, whether it be by sexual reproduction or by scientific experimentation. Some people, have reported remembering being pregnant for just a short time, almost like it's a fog for a week or two where they're not really sure how they got pregnant, but they know they're pregnant. And then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they're not pregnant anymore. Or some of them have no memory of being pregnant at all, but have signs, have when the doctors examine them later, have signs that they have given birth. They're almost never, always never given the offspring, and usually have memory loss when associated with the birth. So it's the seventh kind is when they've abducted you and used you to reproduce an alien human hybrid. So those are the 7 types of close encounters. All definitely terrifying to us.
Yeah.
So we're going to actually give you some examples, and maybe we can pinpoint which type of close encounter these examples that we give you, these cases.
Right on.
First, we're going to start off with Betty and Barney Hill. Betty and Barney Hill is the most famous abduction story or event, whatever you want to call it. It happened in rural New Hampshire in September 19th or 20th, the night of that, 1961. It was the first widely publicized alien abduction case in the United States. It was so traumatic that Betty insisted that they keep their luggage near the back door instead of the main part of the house, so that if they needed to grab it and run, it would be ready right there. It definitely altered their lives. It altered their kids' lives, their families' lives. And it's an incredible story. We really urge you guys to check it out. Well, we'll get into some of the details, but Mac, do you have anything on Betty and Barney Hill that you really want to highlight?
Yeah, I would kind of just how much they were frightened by it. Just like how much it affected them afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard story to tell for so long.
Right.
If you're not true to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, one of the things that kicked it off was they actually don't remember the abduction experience happening when it happened. They got home, realized that the watch in the car, or the watches that they were wearing and the clock in the car was broken, realized that there was some dents to the car, and then really didn't think nothing about it until I think it was a couple nights later. Betty started having dreams, and they happened. It was 10 days after the encounter happened. She started having vivid dreams that continued for 5 consecutive nights, and they abruptly stopped, never came back after the 5th night. And she sat on them for a couple days until they were just too much to think about. They occupied her brain the entire time. And she brought it up to Barney, and, like the protector, or, a man would do, wanted to put it off to the side, not talk about it, suppress it. And it just kept eating at her. And so she wrote them down. She diaried them. And I want to highlight a little bit of them. One that really stood out to me was in one of the dreams she encountered, her and Barney encountered a roadblock and men who surrounded their car. She lost consciousness but struggled to regain it. She then realized that they were being forced by 2 small men to walk in the forest at nighttime, and of seeing Barney walking behind her, though when she called to him, he seemed to be in a trance or sleepwalking. The men that she describes stood about 5 foot to 5'4", about your size, Mac, and wore matching blue uniforms with baseball caps similar to those worn by military cadets. They appeared nearly human, So humanoid, they would fit that description, with black hair, dark eyes, prominent noses, and bluish lips. Their skin was a grayish color.
Ugh. In her dreams, they both got walked up a ramp into a disc-shaped craft of metallic appearance. And once they were inside, they were both separated. She fought and put up a fit, but she was told by a man she called the leader that if they cooperated and were examined together, it would take much longer to conduct the exams. So they separated them. She saw a new man enter to conduct the exam. She refers to this man as the examiner, who said he had a pleasant and soothing, calm manner to him.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. The leader spoke to her in English, but the examiner seemed to be imperfect and difficult to understand. So he told her he would conduct a few tests to note the differences between humans and the craft's occupants. He seated her on a chair, and a bright light was shone on her. The man cut off a lock of her hair. He looked at her eyes, ears, mouth, teeth, throat, and hands. He got trimmings from her nails and examined her legs and feet. He used a dull knife similar to a letter opener to scrape some of her skin. He then tested her nervous system, and he thrust a needle into her navel, which caused agonizing pain. Whereupon the leader waved his hands in front of her eyes, and the pain vanished.
Wow.
Yeah.
At that point, the examiner left the room, and Betty engaged in conversation. That's a sixth type, right?
No, the sixth is death.
Oh, okay. So that's fifth type.
Yeah.
So we've already progressed up to a fifth type of close encounter. She talked with the leader, and she picked up a book with strange signals on it, symbols, sorry. And the leader actually told her that she could take it home with her. She also asked where he came from, and he pulled down an instructional map with stars on it. In her dream, the men started to escort her from the ship when a disagreement or a fight apparently broke out, where the leader told her that she couldn't keep the book. Sorry about that. But they had decided that they didn't want her to remember the encounter. So she insisted no matter what they did to her memory, she would recall all this. I mean, it's pretty hard not to remember this stuff.
Yeah.
And her and Barney were taken back to the car, and they were suggested to wait. You can see the craft take off. That's always pretty cool. And so they did that, and then they resumed their drive and got home. When they got home, and that was, 5 hours later or whatever the time loss that actually was. So those are some of the dreams that she had that really, I mean, just being able to recount that. And you got to think, too, this is 1961. So Roswell had just happened. There's not a lot of...
Yeah, this wasn't a cliche abduction.
Yeah, there hadn't been a notable abduction experiences. The extent of the UFO or alien event was men from Mars, Martian green men from Mars, and...
Yeah, silver suits.
Yeah, and then metallic discs. That was it. There was no medical, exams performed on people that were widely known. So that sounds to me like a fifth type of close encounter.
Yeah, I would agree.
So moving on to Travis Walton.
This one is a little different. There are a lot more people involved. According to Travis Walton, on November 5th, 1975, he was working in a timber stand improvement crew in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest in Snowflake, Arizona. While riding in a truck with 6 of his coworkers, they encountered a saucer-shaped object hovering over the ground approximately 110 feet away, making a huge, high-pitched buzz. Walton claims that after he left the truck and approached an object, a beam of light suddenly appeared from the craft and knocked him unconscious. The other 6 men were frightened and supposedly drove away. Walton claimed that he awoke in a hospital-like room being observed by 3 short, bald creatures. He claimed that he fought with them until a human wearing a helmet led Walton to another room, where he blacked out as 3 other humans put a clear plastic mask over his face.
Jeez.
Walton has claimed that he remembers nothing else until he found himself walking along a highway 5 days later with the flying saucer departing above him.
Man.
Yeah, so that, I mean, 6 other people saw him get abducted.
Right. So that's a group sighting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Do you
another.
think that they didn't witness any entities?
No, so I think that's still another 5th encounter though.
Yeah. Well, it's at least the 4th.
Yeah.
At
100%.
least the 4th.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It would depend on it being if they were. Oh wait, sorry, I was looking at the subcategories. Yeah, that's definitely a 4th. Depends on if I don't think he ever received any communication. It was just he fought with them, and then they put the plastic over his face, and he passed out.
And so all his coworkers reported this to the police.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
And then they were all considered suspects, but they all went through a polygraph, and they all were telling the truth. One was inconclusive, but so you weren't able to tell either way.
Right.
But yeah, so they weren't lying, and once he was found, they were absolved.
Oh, absolutely.
And he confirmed that they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, you're looking at murder.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah.
They think that
he's missing for 5 days.
Right. That's and you know, the thing is, Travis Walton, he's not a small guy. He's a lumberjack.
He's a manly man, right?
Right. Yeah. And he's having that kind of experience. You know, I would hope that if someone was going to fight back, he would.
Yeah.
But we see that there's something else going on to where, you know, the physical feats that we might be able to accomplish here and now in this dimension or this time can definitely be overcome by telekinesis, telepathic stuff. The final guy that we want to highlight, he's had abduction experiences. I don't know how to properly say, so it's repeated abduction experiences. His name's Daryl Sims.
Okay.
He goes by the Alien Hunter. And he has had abduction experiences, started at a young age. You know, he's gone through life with that always in I don't even want to say the back of his mind, but in the forefront of his mind. And once he got into the medical profession, he realized that people were coming in with surgical implants of surgeries they never had. And there was a phenomenon when he started pulling these implants out where he couldn't understand, you know, just for an example, a lady would go in for a pain in her foot and she'd get an x-ray and they would see a small, tiny clip that's implanted in her foot. And the doctor would say, oh, okay, when did you have this operation done? And she says, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never had surgery. And then they take it out. And the craziest thing is that when he sent off some of these pieces of whatever, implants, they came back as off-Earth metals.
Right. So not something we'd be able to mine out of the ground.
Right.
Yeah, meteoric stuff.
Yeah, not something that a regular doctor would be able to implant into you. And
the majority of them were like that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not just one or two.
Right, and so that it's, you go from, all right, they implanted something to, this is totally...
Yeah, we don't even... Yeah, how did this get here?
Exactly. This is, metal that's only found on meteorites. You can't tell me that there's fragments of meteorites that are just going into people that they have no idea.
You'd remember that, right?
Yeah, right? So, but then it goes even deeper.
Yeah.
These implants were wrapped in an organic material that adheres naturally to the tissue around the implant so that there's no scarring, there's no inflammation. The body doesn't even know that it's there.
It was part of them, was it not? Yeah, like reused for something else, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's their tissue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, so, the body won't reject it because it's already got their tissue in it. And so, or around it. Mm-hmm. Now, a couple of the people that have looked at this tissue say that whatever is allowing it to adhere to the abductee's tissue, if you could replicate it, it would be like carbon fiber tubing.
Yeah.
Rolled carbon. Like it's technology we don't have yet that we can only see in theory. Mm-hmm. And he's pulling it out of people,
again and again.
Right.
Yeah.
And on not only in one part in Texas, India, Canada, Europe, all across the United States. But yeah, he's out there. He's trying to fight the good fight. He's definitely put in the years and years to get to this point, and just keep on plugging along, Daryl.
He's got a lot of information out there.
Absolutely.
That is worth looking into.
Yep. He's got a website, alienhunter.org. As always, we want you guys to delve into these stories and cases.
Now that you've heard this, think about it.
Yeah.
Form your own conclusions. Yeah.
Absolutely. So just be on the lookout. Try to remember the types of encounters and.
So next time you can just say, I saw a UFO.
Yeah.
I had a first encounter of the first kind.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Or there was trace evidence left over for what I thought was a UFO that I saw coming out of a mountain. All right. Well, there's a second kind encounter.
Yeah. So
we're going to leave you on that. And always please do your own research, form your own conclusions, think freely, keep your eyes to the sky, and y'all be safe.
Until next time.
Thanks.